Well, I want to leave time for sure for Diane to answer those two questions, so
Yeah.
we'll feel heard. But I would just say two things that I feel really, it's amazing to me, the power of the wisdom and insights that individuals have. And I've just heard something new and inspiring from every single person. And it's very heartwarming for me to realize how much we know if we take time to sit down and draw from ourselves and from this bank of wisdom. And I would just say on a personal note, when talking about answering the question about in God's image, I realize how many times over my lifetime I've complained about my figure, my hair, all the things about myself that weren't right. And I just need to stop doing that. I've been given everything I need to carry on, and here I am, and I'm in good health. So stop focusing on the superficial and appreciate all the gifts that I've been given from a source way beyond me. So that's what I draw from today and this conversation. And I thank you so much for asking me to do this. It was a good challenge for me.
Thank you so much, Libby. It's just wonderful to have your voice in this role and the way that you're doing it. So thank you. Diane, we've got a couple questions, plus any reflections on what you've heard.
Well, I want to join Libby in thanking everyone for this. Feels like just the sparks of the beginning of a very rich conversation, and all the wisdom that was shared and the practical applications that were shared. I also really want to thank you, Libby, for stepping into the moderator role, and I have very much enjoyed our conversation and hope that can continue as well. And REA for inviting both of us to do this. So I had many reflections and thoughts as I listened to everyone speak, and I'll address these couple questions and then maybe just say something to finish up about my own impetus in really delving in this way into this material. The question that Steve asked about the word in the Hebrew, image. There's image and likeness. So what's translated as image is b'tselem. Tselem is image. I'm trying to think, I would want to do a little more research into the root of that word, but tsel also has if I'm not mistaken, the sense of shadow. So yes, image is an interesting word, but for ancient Hebrews, the scholarship that I've read is that there was no distinction between the body, soul, spirit. It was all one. There's no word in ancient Hebrew for spirit or spirituality apart from breath. All the words that we translate as spirit have to do with breath or wind. So it's hard to put ourselves back into the space. What I try to project myself back into the space 2,000 years ago of people whose somehow what I imagine is their minds were not split from their bodies in the way that ours are. So I've heard many people during the morning say, well, when I can just let go of my thinking or quiet my mind or, come into my body, then I feel more connected, which is certainly the case for me. I felt like my life was saved by my physical practices and being a dancer. And it's taken me many years to make these bridges, not only the bridge of heaven and earth, but the bridge between my own, consciousness and my physicality and my soul energy, and to try to sew these things back together the way Peter Pan attached his shadow back to his toe. Wendy showed him how to do it too. So Tselem, Tselem could refer to, there's a famous Talmudic story about how the Roman emperor had all these coins printed with his own Tselem on them, his own image, and they all look the same. But, you know, the sage who's arguing with the Roman interlocutor says, you know, God makes all of these images and no two of them are the same. That's the difference between God and the Roman emperor, you know. So, yeah, we could talk a lot more about Selim, but then just let me quickly address Tenzin's question about the prayer. In the Hebrew, I didn't read it, but it's so poetic. When it talks about these tiny openings and vessels, the Hebrew sounds like this: Uvaravo nikavim, nikavim, chalulim, chalulim. So God created, the creative source power made in us these many tiny vessels and openings. So for me, the body is real and physical, and it's also symbolic and resonant in metaphor. So when we talk about openings and how do we unclog, the meaning of the Hebrew is that if the things that, as Wendy said, they're meant to be open, if they're clogged up, you know, if there's a blood clot in a vessel where it's meant to flow, I can't stand up and praise. And if, you know, something's open that's meant to be closed, if there's a wound that's bleeding or something, then again, I don't have the containership, the integrity of being to be an instrument, to be that flute or that cello or whatever it is that I'm meant to be.